So I just had a conversation with one of our mentees the other day, and he was telling me that he was very stressed about his upcoming sales production, especially now that at this point in time it's in Q4, right? And he's basically saying that his appointments numbers weren't as ideal as he'd like it to be, and even those of the appointments that he already had set upcoming were kind of like cancelling and rescheduling, right? And so what happened was that after a short conversation, at first, I thought it was really like a business problem, right? So maybe he didn't pre-frame properly, maybe he didn't, double tie down certain things, more of like a sales process. But what eventually turned out to be a business problem turns out to actually be a personal one, right? And so context was that the reason why he's feeling like he wasn't in a good state to begin with was also because he was feeling a lot of pressure and stress with upcoming milestones and liabilities and commitments that he have made, right? And so, we're talking about like getting married, buying a house, having kids, so on and so forth, right? And the thing is that, because he's somebody that really cares about his loved ones and he really want to do the best for them as well, what happens is that he didn't want to disappoint them. And as a result, he's also kind of afraid that he might not be able to keep the promises that he made, right? Because everything's upcoming and then he just feel like he needs to hit all these things. If not, he feel like, might not feel too good about himself, feel like it's not good enough, or even might feel like a failure, right? And so, again, like his state got affected and it basically affected the performance of his sales, right? Because now you have like people not showing up, things just seems to go wrong, and maybe you face it yourself, right? Where a negative thought comes in, one thing goes wrong, and then the next few things just follow suit, right? As though like it all comes like bad things comes in threes, for example, right? And so again, if you're going through this stage, of your life, right, where you're thinking about, okay, you have certain upcoming expenses, commitments, liabilities, and everything else, and you're kind of finding hard to kind of like balance that and feeling kind of stressed, right? I think that this video might really be for you, because at the end of the day, sure, there are things that we can control within the business, right? Sales process, the things we say, how we practice the script, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, ultimately, all business problems are personal problems, and personal problems and our personal life basically tends to intertwine with our business life, and so it's kind of like very hard to kind of separate those two things, right? Because it's all one, right? And so hopefully you find this video valuable, because in this video, I'll show you a conversation that we had on how I coach him out of it and also give him the actionable steps, for him to move forward, right? So that he can really get the business going, feel less stress, or rather have the right amount of pressure, to hit his goals and everything else. Okay, I hope this video might be helpful for you as well. So watch this video, enjoy, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions or thoughts about it as well. I'm feeling a bit sluggish this month despite a good month in July. Future, want to get back to momentum. Okay, great. So going back to my question, right? And I think your situation is something that probably, how many of you guys feel this? Feel like, the end of year is coming, feel a bit sluggish, feel a bit like you want to chase after the goal, but a bit, yeah, Clarissa, yes? Yeah, okay, cool. So a few of you, okay. So tell me, what are some of the thoughts exactly that you're thinking, and how often is it?
How often I think is like when there are empty slots where I should fill up, then this thought creeps in. Maybe like some sort of guilt, like, shit, I could have just, why didn't I fill this up with another appointment, something like that. So quite often.
So last month, you mentioned like it's pretty much a relatively good month in July, right? And so how empty or how filled was your calendar?
Like July, wow, I need to, do I need to?
Don't need to show. Like you just look at it and then you just tell me like, is it like, wow, every fucking day, right? This guy, hey bro, your calendar is where one? Steady. You don't use Apple Calendar or like any Google Calendar thing?
I don't I like that So yeah, but I mean I would say average like 8 at least. Yeah, at least 8 a week, I think.
Why does it make you feel more anxious than feeling? Okay, so let's say you feel, okay, what's the exact feeling? You feel anxious? You feel worried? Overwhelmed? Fearful?
Worried.
Got it. And so does that make you do things or does it make you not do things?
I think I'll still end up doing things because I have to. but it just weighs heavier. Like, wow, how do I describe? You weigh on my mind that wow, like this thing, maybe I gotta make it count, something like that.
Understand. And so I think it's very interesting that you mentioned and you use the word have to. So I think my question to you is like those goals and the major milestones that you have upcoming, right? Are those things that you have to get, or are those goals are things that you want?
Or at this point, I don't know what's the difference, cause those are I want and I also need.
What are some of these milestones? Come, let's talk about it.
The future house, wedding, these big ticket items. So it will happen at a certain point, and I need money to fulfill those things.
Got it. And can I just double check? Is this is with your future spouse? I mean your current spouse, but like for with together lah, right? Kind of stuff. Okay, got it. So my question to you is: are those things that you want? Like you want to get together, get married, have wedding, have a house together? Like are those things that you want, or you feel like there's a need? Like it's a oh by 没有办法 lor, like no choice, so I get married, so therefore I need to do these things.
Wow, it's both It's I want to do a good one, no? That's why that pressure.
Want and needs are two different things. You want a Porsche, but you need oxygen, right? But you don't need a Porsche.
Okay, there is one.
Okay, great. And so my question, right? I just want to understand your train of thought so that we can really nail this. And this is for everybody. Like you guys can probably relate to it to a certain degree. And so my question, right, becomes: if those goals are things that you want, my next question then becomes: do you understand at your and with your years experience, right, that there are certain things that are required to be done to get to those goals? Great. Okay, great. So do you want to do those things that will get to you get to those goals?
Yeah,
Or do you feel like you need to do those things so they can get to those goals?
it feels more like a need to in order to get there. Or I should rephrase in order to have a chance to get there.
Okay. Do you feel like you don't have a chance to get there?
I have a chance. Things need to go nicely. Yeah.
And let's say if it doesn't, then what's going to happen? Let's say next year, or I don't know, when are you getting married? Or like when is the house? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about timeline, right? Since we are being specific. Tell me about timeline. Tell me about the house. Tell me about the wedding. When?
Within 2 years.
2 years. Which part of the 2 years?
Haven't gotten down to the nitty-gritty.
Then why are you so worried about getting there?
Need to have enough then.
You see, that's the problem. Like, guys, this is where the problem lies, and this is just one part of it. Think about it, okay? Most people would say that before they can decide on buying something, they say they need the money first, then they can buy. Make sense? Make sense, right? Like 需要钱先 then 你才可以 decide what to buy 嘛。But my question becomes, what's the point of trying to see how much you need if you have not even made a decision that this is something that you want to buy? If you don't know exactly how many resale, how many HDB flat, how many condo or whatever it is that exactly you want to buy, and how much it costs, and you have not decided that you want to do that by a certain timing, then why are you so worried about like trying to get there? Where are you getting to? It's like you saying, right, that hey Ben, I'm trying to save my energy to travel, but I don't know where I want to travel. So I save my energy first until I decide to travel. No, right? Is you decide, like, I want to go Japan. Then you determine whether you want to take a plane, take a bus, take a whatever. Agree? But the question now is like, you have not even decided. You're just saying, I want to go overseas. But you have not decided where, when. So why worry so much about like the how? Next 2 years, within next 2 years, can be tomorrow. Agree? Agree? Can be tomorrow, right? Within next 2 years. Could be, because there is a difference. And guys, this is like no joke. There is a difference. Because if you say that it's 31st December 2025 versus 31st December 2026, do we agree how your actions and your behaviors will be different depending whether is it next year or the year after? Yes?
And that will determine how you feel also. But you haven't decided. Then why you feel so stressed?
I feel it's like I don't want to come to a point where the decision needs to be made and I can't pull my own weight.
And how would that make you feel?
Feel like a burden
To who?
to my partner.
Does she think that way?
She probably wouldn't, because it's a joint decision at the end of the day. But I also don't want to give her like the shorter end of the stick.
You had a conversation with her about this?
There was, I think we were initially deciding to get condo. Then because of money, then we had to make otherwise.
You wanted to get a condo, or she wanted to get a condo?
Her.
Okay. Will you eventually think that you'll get a condo?
Eventually, yes. Because in my mind, there was already like some sort of plan, but not so early, not so soon. So when she brought it up, I was like, I didn't know you. Yeah,
How old are you now?
31.
Okay. This year, right? So 93 lah.
Yeah.
And just for specifically, in particular for like the guys here, and this is good for the ladies here who's listening to this. First of all, you need to first understand that you have not even reached your potential or like where your prime is at all. Do you know when is a guy's prime? The prime where really earn money and really like doing solid one. Do you know when exactly is that prime? 36 to 38. That's where like mostly the peak, and then like might be even further beyond that. And so what you're experiencing, right? And this is really more personal relationship, right? Which is what you're really experiencing is the very fact that, on the female side of things, right? They have a biological clock that is getting them to tick, right? And so they need to make things move things faster and get things faster done. But as a guy, right? Like we don't have a biological clock, right? But we have a financial clock, which means to say by a certain age we need a certain amount of money. If not, we feel like shit, right? And so my point here is that, okay, yeah. So I think what's more important, right, is to first understand that like the more you fuck yourself over, the very fact that you're not there yet, the more you're not going to get there. That's number one, right? And then number two is that you also need to understand that this goes back to last year's conversation, if I'm not wrong. Right? And it goes back to the very fact that like your self-worth is not tagged to the very fact that you're not earning money or not earning as much as you like to be. And first of all, you're not earning that little to begin with. Like first of all, you're not earning that little. Right? You're earning actually very decent. And it's just that like I think about this way. If let's say whatever they're earning right now, you can afford a car, and then tomorrow, right, COE goes up to 280,000 COE plus the car maybe it's $500,000 for one Toyota of yours. Let me ask you a question. Is it your fault? Should you feel shitty that now you cannot afford a fucking car?
Maybe car not a good example for me, but
yeah, or buy a house, right? Or like whatever the prices goes up. That makes sense. And so I think the thing here is that like why the rush? I think that's the most important question to ask. Like why the rush?
Personally, I think the year before, I think towards year end when I was prepping up for like the final push, right, I went to the hospital and then everything stopped for like a good 2 weeks. And then it felt like, wow, really wasted that whole thing, that whole year end. And then I didn't had a very good year lah. Yeah. Then I realized when such things happen, I really need to, yeah,
Need to what?
把握 the time.
I think the dangerous thing here at this point in time, and this is for everybody listening for yourself, right? Which is like, think about it. You mention the word need a lot of times. Why is it not like you want to? I want to 把握 the time. I want to earn more money so that I can provide. Versus I need to earn more money so that I can provide.
Well, I can't explain the difference. But it felt natural to use that word for me.
Which is a lot, actually. So the thing about like need, right, is that when you say you need something, usually there's some form of having a little bit of like no choice, a bit of like bo pian. You see, like need to ma bo pian no. Like if you think about just saying it out, right, bro bo pian need to do MDRT because like if not how, then the house how. No choice lah, need to do lah. Don't like also need to do correct or not, right? Like you say things like that, like right. But you say you want to, right, which is like, fuck, like I might not necessarily like this, but like I still want to do it because like I want to do it so that I can get my goals, right? I want to provide for my family, I want to provide for my partner, right? And so the thing about like need and want is very, very different. So if the problem with needing something, you think about it, you want the sale or you need the sale. Two different things. Because it determines your state. If you say you need the sale, means you got no choice but to make sure this sale you need to fucking close. Agree? But we all know what happens when we need something. Desperate. Desperation will come out. Unintentional pushiness will come out. Yes? Right? Because we need something. No. You can want something and you can go in. The one of the biggest difference for me when it comes to want and need, right, is that need got no choice. One puts you in a state of power. One makes you feel like, or makes you accept, means that you accepted ownership and responsibility that I want this shit to happen. I want this. It's not, I need this. Can you see, can feel it? Neediness and needing makes you feel, makes the feeling weak. Like you need it. One is like, I want this. I want to make sure that I get married. I want to make sure that this happens. I don't know how, but I'll make sure it happens. That's like, you see the difference? And so like if you think back to all the things that you mentioned, right? The house, the wedding, the whatever it is, right? Feels to come from a state of needing something. It feels like, this is why I asked you the first few questions. Is this something that you actually want? Because if you actually want, why do you feel bo pian? Fuck, you decide one eh. You decide the person you want to marry, you decide you want to do this, why the fuck you feeling like no choice? You know why you feel no choice? Because you want to feel better, right? You break up now. You break up now, then all your problems disappear. But yeah, right. But you get the point. So my question then becomes like, what do you feel like you need something when you are the one that decided that you want to get married and want a wedding and want a house and want all these things? Why feel need? Unless it's not your goal that you actually want. I don't need to be doing this fucking session today, but I want to, even though I'm fucking tired. I've been sleeping less than 5-6 hours the last like 1 week. I'm fucking tired. But I want to be here because I want to like show up for myself, to show up for everybody here because everybody is showing up for themselves. You can ask Kelly, 1 hour before I was just like stoning here, prepping a bit. I also don't know, like my brain a bit tired, But like I want to show up here, not because I need to. Not because later so many questions, then chakra, then like walao, I also not Tony Robbins. Like I don't feel the need. It's like I want to. Just like all of you guys here, you come on the call because you all want to, agree? Not because you all need to. I never force you to come out. You don't want that, you all get out. Like, simple, right? So you all want to. Right? If those things are not what you want, you got to have a conversation with whoever the shareholders or the stake or the parties that's involved. And you got to be okay to understand that there will be sometimes maybe you should feel unhappy. Maybe you feel like whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, right? Because like if you want to compromise, right, and shortchange yourself or sacrifice what you truly want and sacrifice your own happiness, your other partner will never be happy. I repeat, if you try to sacrifice your own happiness for other people, this means that the other people will never be happy because you'll be so fucking miserable. And energy is a state. It's just transference. And so if you're unhappy, at some point in time, you have resentment. Make sense? So it's not going to do her or you or your mother or whoever it is that's involved well. So you want to get married within next 2 years or not? Or you rather it on the 3rd year? You want a house within next 2 years or you want a house at 35? Where you agak-agak calculate, I think 35 okay. 31, a bit hard. 33 can, but a bit push, and then like I'll get stressed, and then like my life will be miserable because I feel like I need to hit my COT every year. So when is good for you? Use some numbers, calculate some shit, agak-agak based on how you like, improve a little bit. Every year must have improvement lah, right? 5%, 10%, 20%, best is 100%, but you agak-agak, okay, I think 35, push a little bit, can do. I want to do that. I think I'm good for that. I'm good for that challenge. But if someone come and say, hey bro, or like, hey dear, I think I want to do XYZ, I think we should get a condo because blah, 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 whatever reasons, right? Because it's my dream, because I think it's better, because whatever. Then as a guy, you feel like, wow, like, you paiseh, you xia sui, you cannot. Then also you love her, then you also don't want to feel like you are a loser, you know what I mean? Like you feel loser, right? Like you cannot can say, hey, there's no problem, right? You cannot say that. You feel like loser, then you feel stressed, then you feel like you need to not be a loser. And that's the difference. You feel like you need to not be a loser versus you want to be a champion or want to be a winner. Have the conversation. And I'll share this just for the record. And I'm saying this because I understand how you feel. When is it? I think about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Or actually 2.5 I actually have. Kelly will hint me about engagement rings. Hint me about getting married and wedding and all the fucking shit that comes along. Buy a fucking house. Blah, 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 blah. You know how I felt? Every time she brings it up, I was fucking angry. Not because I don't want it. But I was angry at myself because I was thinking to myself, why I work so hard, the fucking money not enough for me to just say, let's go. And so every time she bring it up, right, I trigger. Sometimes she say for fun, but I fucking hate it. Because she say for fun, but to me it's like, it means you want it, right? But then I just damn dulan about everything, you know? And so I eventually had to tell her, and I said like, hey, look, like you saying this, I know you want it. But you saying this makes me feel this way because I feel like I cannot provide for you yet. And the more I feel this way, even if I say yes to you, even I just like squeeze out the money for you, right? You also don't want me to, because you say one, then I do ma. You want me to 自愿的 do ma? Agree? That's what all ladies want, what? You don't want to tell the guy, like you see, it's like you don't want to tell the guy, right? Say that, hey, you better say sorry to me and buy me this ring. You do, then the person buy you. Then you'll be like, walao, I need to tell. See, the ladies will be, wow, I need to tell you, then you buy for me. Like, what kind of guy are you? Like, you should take your own initiative, what? Correct or not? You see, ladies are also like that one. They hint, but they want you to do it of your own accord, not because they say. So then imagine, right? So that's why the same thing I told Kelly. I said like, hey, look, like this is how I feel. Do you want it to be that way? I can't squeeze the money, right? You know. And so this is a more intricate like conversation because then I had to tell Kelly. I say that, hey, look, this is something that I'll do. I will definitely propose. I'll definitely marry. Like this, you are for sure like my one. The only difference is just like when is the ring gonna be on your finger? But it will happen. And it happened. 1.5 years later. She got a big ring. Right? Yeah. Then every time she shine, very happy. Right? Her ring very big. Okay? Yeah. But you get my point. Right? And she happy, I happy. Once you get people to have a conversation and this try to get this person to understand how you feel. And this will in fact makes you feel more empowered to like, wow, I also want to do it. Like my partner understand me. Like all the more like, okay, like I want to do it for her. I want to make sure that within this number of years, I'll make sure I save out and get it straight for her.
I missed out one detail. So she has a nanny's husband who is getting very old. Plus my dad have a health scare. I don't know whether that double up to those feelings that I need to do those things much earlier than I had wanted to.
So going back, doesn't matter, right? Because it goes back to you want or you don't want. There's no such as need one. Kelly's mom, when I was with her, Kelly's mom moved on, cancer. We had this conversation before. Then the question then becomes like, okay, so do you want to get married earlier just so that the mom can see? No right, no wrong. That makes sense? But like, I just don't feel like our marriage and everything else. If that's the case, then we should have a baby right now, right? Before anyone dies, right? Like, that makes sense. Like, if you think about it, you know, like, but doesn't make sense, but like, you know, it's right? And so the thing here is that there's no living in control. And like, if you want to do it and just nice all the stars align, money here, you get married and everything all sweet, you want one, and then just so it happens, I think that's great, right? Push a few months earlier, push a few weeks earlier, sure. But like, if you're trying to like change your life, everything and shorten it just because of things that you don't really think that it's that meaningful, then, because at the end of the day, right, guys, think about it. It goes back to how much meaning you ascribe to something. It's how much meaning you ascribe to something. Me and Kelly wanted to have a huge ass wedding. Like, you know, it's like 100 table, you know, like 大one, then 敬茶, like those kind of big stuff, right? Eventually, 1 year later, decide actually, we just have a extended family, you know, maybe like 10 tables. Then until recently, we just say, hey, fuck lah, do we even want to, like, we say like, do we even want to have that? Then we say, okay, how about just lunch, right? Her aunt, her family, and then just my family, right? 2 tables or so. Until yesterday, we were saying like, fuck, like, actually, do you even want to have a wedding or not? Right? Do you even like want to have a wedding or not? Right? And that happens over the years, right? You know, and so like, because what we've realized is that like, actually, what's the meaning that is ascribed to it? Right? A ring is a ring, ma. You guys have friends, right? They just buy anyhow, buy a small ring, then they just sign IRM, then they done. Move on with life. Because to them, they rather put the money in renovation, go honeymoon, right? Right or wrong? No right or wrong. It's what kind of meaning you want to ascribe to it? Right? And so you start to realize, and this is for everybody listening, please, which is I start to realize, right, that everything is all within your fucking control. You decide how much meaning you want to give to it. You decide what you want to do. Never operate from a place of need. Nobody needs to do anything. Y'all can fucking quit this industry today also. Don't need to be here, one. Agree? But you guys want to be here. And so if you say you want to be here, then you might as well just jolly accept all the shit that comes along with it and be okay with it, and you want to just go through. Because that will give you more empowerment. That will make you want to move forward. Once you get this, you'll be able to move forward a lot more. Yeah. 可以吗? Yeah. Remember, put yourself first. I know this is weird coming from me, but put yourself first. And I think most of you need to put yourself first. Most of you need to put yourself first in a good way. People who come in AS, right, always put other people first one. Very nice one. Yeah, always care about other people, want to make sure people are successful, whatever. Then own self got fucking problems. Then you sacrifice, compromise yourself. Yeah, standard shit. Hey, have the conversation. That one important. You have the conversation already, your MDRT will come on. Yeah. And then decide on the where. And for anybody, please don't say, I want to get my MDRT in the next 2 years. Hey, please don't. The universe will not reward you for being fake. You say you want this by this number, this X number of year, having this amount of money, that's the whole point. Then you can work towards it. Somehow it will happen. Make sense? Okay, and then for the rest of you here, hopefully this relates to you guys when you guys are running for your own sales. Don't need anything. No need to need anything. Why need anything? You want or don't want. If you don't want, then you don't be a bitch and then or be a pussy. You just say you don't want. Okay, you want, then you want. Then you need to suck it up and go through the shit. Okay? So no half. Make sense? And I'm saying this because I have lots of love for you guys, because I was being a pussy and bitch last time also. Sometimes still am also. Okay? Right? And so like I get it. Right? Because it's tough. You know what I mean? It's tough. Okay? When you got a partner involved, right, you gotta like have them kind of like see them as someone that's going to empower and motivate you, instead of them making you feel like you need something. Yeah. If not, you have some resentment towards them at some point in time. Because of you, that's why I work so hard. Because of the standard argument. Then you cannot want.